In the wings, behind a metal rack crowded with bundles of cable and silk flower garlands and the stringless lutes from Act 1, 2 black dachshunds lie in a basket. They are awake but motionless, their small, uneasy eyes fixed on the dancers who come smiling and leaping off stage and give themselves over to violent exhaustion, standing stooped, hands on hips, heaving like racehorses. The dancers grab fistfuls of tissues from boxes mounted to the light rigs with gaffing tape and swab their faces and chests. Sweat patters on the floor. A stagehand pushes an ammonia-smelling mop around. The pas de deux begins. 2 Russian stars are out alone in the light, both defectors. The surface of the stage has the dull shine of black ice. Rosin dusts it like snow. Ordinarily, members of the corps do not dare acknowledge the dogs, but Joan Joyce crouches and strokes their long backs. She fingers their velvety ears and smooth little skulls. The creatures shrink away into their basket, but she persists. In the shadows, other corps girls stand waiting in a clump, tutus overlapping like a mat of stiff lavender blossoms. "What are you doing?" one of them whispers. "You can't touch those." Joan's roommate, Elaine Costas, a soloist, is sitting against the wall and stretching. Her point shoes are pressed together at the soles like hands in prayer, her face bent to their arches. Her costume is yellow, the bodice embroidered with gold. "If Ludmila were going to murder Joan," she says, looking up, "she would have done it already." One of the dogs sets a paw against Joan's wrist and braces away, his hard ebony nails digging into her skin. She kisses at him. He lifts his ears, then remembers himself and flattens them, recanting his interest. Joan has never danced as well as tonight. She is of the corps, but also entirely herself, both part and whole. The tiny ball of cells clinging to her uterine wall is a secret, but she feels as translucent and luminous as a firefly. Arslan Rusakov and Ludmila Yudemskaya appear in the bright channel between the black stage drapes and stop, glazed with sweat and white light. He turns her waist between his palms, his face set in an ardent mask. Love in a ballet is something that does not exist and then suddenly does, its beginning marked by pantomime, faces fixed in rapture, a dance. After, when they are hidden in the wings or behind the curtain, the dancers will grimace like goblins, letting the pain show. At home in their apartment, Elaine sometimes does an unkind imitation of Arslan's love face, dancing pompously and then turning to answer herself with a parody of Ludmila's smile. Bared teeth beneath flinty eyes. Joan laughs and asks for more, but the mockery stings. Arslan had been her lover. She had been the one to help him defect. He and Ludmila had been a couple when they were both in the Kirov, and now they are getting married. They had announced their engagement after a performance of Swan Lake with champagne for the whole company. Ludmila's head was swathed in a crown of white feathers. Joan and Arslan were done before Ludmila arrived, but still the tiny yellow-haired Russian provokes Joan's sense of having been taunted and robbed, deprived. Applause, and Ludmila sweeps into the wings. The music for Arslan's variation begins. Joan keeps petting the dogs, but the animals crane their long necks for a glimpse of their mistress. "They're not nice," Ludmila says after a moment, her accent flat and heavy like a stone in the back of her throat. "You should not touch." Before curtain, the dachshunds had moped around Ludmila's feet while she warmed up, narrowly avoiding being kicked. She never seems to pay them any attention, but she brings them to every class, every rehearsal, every fitting, every performance, every gala. They were a gift from Arslan when she arrived in New York after her defection, replacements for dachshunds left behind in Leningrad. Their bony, penitent faces are always turned, like so many others, toward her. They would never think of barking, not even when cymbals crash or when stagehands pump out chilly clouds of fog from a machine to make an enchanted haze or suggest the surface of a lake. "They seem sweet," Joan says. Ludmila, dabbing her cheeks with a tissue, gazes at her with amused malevolence. "They bite." "I don't think so." "They are my dogs, not your dogs, but if you won't get bite, suit yourself." Suit yourself is something Arslan says because it is something Joan says. She taught him, and now he has taught Ludmila. Joan gives the dachshunds a final rub. One bears a set of tiny, sharp ivory teeth at her, as dainty and menacing as his mistress, and stands up. Ludmila turns away to watch Arslan pirouette at center stage. He is a prince. It is his wedding day, as the music accelerates and sweat flies from his hair. Arslan is racing the conductor, trying to squeeze in more turns. When he is done, the audience will let loose the huge, docile roar of amazement they always do. The ovation is a given, but he will still earn it. He is extraordinary. The audience loves him for being extraordinary, and also for having been born to the enemy, for coming to dance for them instead. The end of the music. His last turn squeaks around a beat late. The roar explodes from the belly of the theater, blasts out to the back of the house. Arslan bows again, gives a modest flick of his head. Ludmila draws herself up, raises her arms over her head, and steps briskly out from the wings. Her variation begins, but Joan does not watch.